Hello and welcome to my game pickups video for the months of January, February and March 2021. Seeing as it's been a while since I've made one of these videos, I figure I might as well talk through how it actually works. So rather than me talking about every single game that I've purchased, I'm only going to be talking about the physical ones that I've added to my collection. The reason that I do this is really because I don't buy that many digital games anyway, but as well as that I don't really consider them a part of my actual collection like I do with physical games. So with that out of the way, let's talk through some of the games that I've picked up over the last 3 months, starting with a bit of a weird one because I bought all 3 of these games across January, February and March, but they're all a part of the same series, so I might as well talk about them all at the same time. And if you're a regular viewer of my channel, you might already be able to guess what these games are, but they're the 3 Silent Hill games released on PS2. So these are, of course, Silent Hill 2, Silent Hill 3, and Silent Hill 4 The Room. The version of Silent Hill 2 that I got was actually the Platinum edition of the Director's Cut, and the reason I went for that over the original version is simply because the Director's Cut has a little bit more content with some additional endings and like a sub-scenario and stuff. But the other 2 games are just the original versions that aren't the Platinum edition or anything like that. I'm not really the sort of game collector who doesn't want to collect Platinum editions or anything. Like if I end up with a Platinum edition of a game, I don't really mind too much because all I really care about is actually being able to play it. I will admit that I do prefer the spines for the regular games though, just because they look a little bit more uniform that way. But like I say, I'm not too put off by it. If you do want to know an in-depth opinion on both Silent Hill 2 and 3, you can check out the reviews that I've already done of them here on the channel, and I am currently working on a review of Silent Hill 4 as well, so definitely subscribe if you want to know my opinion on that one. Just to go into a little bit of detail about what I think about these games though, I've actually, until reviewing them, I had never properly played any of them, and I've been really pleasantly surprised by the quality of them. While I think a lot of people do over-exaggerate how scary they are, they're still really interesting to play through, and they're definitely a bit creepy, even if they're not outright scary. A great thing about this series as well is that I feel like each game has its own strengths and weaknesses that are sort of complemented by the other entries. So, like with Silent Hill 2, it has an excellent storyline, but the gameplay is maybe a little bit lacking in certain areas. But with Silent Hill 3, the gameplay is a lot better, even though the story could be considered a little bit weaker. And then 4 is sort of in the middle with those things, but I won't ruin what I think about that because like I say, I've not actually finished my review of it yet, so stay tuned for that. As for the prices of these 3 games, I got each one of them for around the £30 mark, so they are pretty expensive, but they're not to the point of being completely unobtainable. I actually got them from a couple of different places as well, so I think Silent Hill 2 and 4 were from CEX, whereas Silent Hill 3 was actually cheaper on eBay. So yeah, I basically just got them from the places that had them for the cheapest, really. The next game I got was in February, and it was £50 from Amazon, and I think this is one that a lot of Switch owners were pretty excited to play, and it is of course Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury. Now I was one of the few people who actually played the original version of this game back when it released on the Wii U, so I wasn't diving into this game for the first time on the Switch. Having said that though, I do think that this is probably the definitive version of the game because it does actually look quite a lot better with the colours being a lot more vivid. And there are a few quality of life improvements as well. The best thing they added to the game was the ability to do a dive move similar to the one that you can do in Mario Odyssey, that just gives you a little bit more control over your jumps. Looking back on the Wii U version of this game, I never really remembered it being that good, and I definitely didn't think it was anything special at the time. But upon revisiting it, I actually found that I appreciated it a lot more than what I did when I first played it. I'm not sure exactly why that is. Maybe it's because now we actually have a proper 3D Mario in the form of Mario Odyssey, whereas back when this released on the Wii U, I was kind of wanting a 3D Mario game on that scale, but instead I got this. So I think that kind of like muddied my opinion of it a little bit. but now playing it as a sort of like side Mario game, it's actually really good. But the big thing that they added into this game was actually Bowser's Fury, which is more so like a proper 3D Mario game than what 3D World itself is. So Bowser's Fury is this sort of like big, sort of open world Mario experience. The world itself isn't like that big or anything, but it's big enough that you can properly sink your teeth into it and like find loads of secrets and stuff. But yeah, I think it's really interesting, and I'm assuming that it was a sort of test for the next proper Mario game, where they're probably going to go in a similar direction to that, where there isn't like a level select menu or anything, but you organically travel from world to world somehow. I think that would be really interesting to see, and it seems that that's the direction they're going to take it in, judging from what's happening in Bowser's Fury. So yeah, if you picked this game up and for some reason you didn't play Bowser's Fury, definitely try that out, because it really was a blast to go through. I actually also streamed the entire thing over on Twitch, so if you wanted to follow me over there, you'll be able to catch more streams like that in the future as well. The next game I got was £30 from Game, and I got it towards the end of February on the day it released, and it was Little Nightmares 2 for the PS4. Now I played the original Little Nightmares back when it came out, and I really enjoyed that, but I actually think Little Nightmares 2 is probably even better than that game. It basically just expands on everything from that first game, giving you new abilities, introducing you to new monsters, and also introducing us to new environments that we never saw in the original game that make the universe feel a lot bigger this time around. The best thing about this game has got to be its atmosphere and just the visuals as well. This is a gorgeous looking game, and the creature designs are just really creepy, while also not being so scary that you could consider it a proper horror game. I would actually say that this is quite a good game to play if you're a younger person looking to get into horror games, because it's not too brutal, it's not too gory or anything like that, and the scenes that are scarier still don't reach that level of being actually genuinely terrifying. So I think even a younger person would be able to get through this one. It is reasonably short, but considering that it only cost £30 brand new, and it's probably cheaper now, and plus it is longer than what the first game was, I do think you're getting a good deal with this one. I liked some of the things that it added to the experience of the original game as well, like the option to give you cosmetic unlockables by finding them in the environments, and then being able to wear different hats, just to give the game a little bit of variety as you progress through it. But yeah, this is honestly a really good game, and I feel like a lot of people missed out on it, probably because it was released as a PS4 game when the PS5 was already out, and never got an actual PS5 version for some reason. I hope we see some sort of PS5 update in the future, because that might give me an excuse to play through it again. After Little Nightmares 2 came out, we kinda went through an entire month with nothing releasing that I was particularly interested in, but then we hit a point a week or so ago where 2 games came out that I was actually really interested in picking up, and had been following the progress on for quite a while. The first of these games I got from Amazon for £40, and it was Monster Hunter Rise for the Nintendo Switch. Now I'm going to be honest here, despite it only having been a week since this game coming out, give or take a couple of days, I've already played this for over 24 hours, and it's the biggest reason that I've not been working on my Silent Hill 4 video. I've just become a little bit addicted to it, like I always do whenever a new Monster Hunter game comes out. There's just something so addictive about the gameplay loop of these games, where you basically go into these massive boss battles, defeat a huge monster, carve it up to get materials to make new weapons and armor, and then use those weapons and armor to take on even bigger monsters, and then make even better armor, and then you repeat that process over and over again. While that might sound quite repetitive, there is actually quite a lot of variety with these games, because each monster requires completely different strategies to take down. As well as that, you've also got all of the different level themes, which give it a bit of visual variety, as well as introducing several new gimmicks which are placed in each of the areas. And new to Monster Hunter Rise, you've actually got a new mode in the form of the Rampages. This turns the game into almost like a wave defense type of thing, or maybe like a horde mode, where you're given a certain amount of time at the beginning of each wave to place traps and weapons, and then the wave begins and it's about defending a stronghold from an onslaught of monsters. It's actually a really good addition to the game, and despite it not being as good as the standard hunting gameplay, I think it's a welcome addition. Monster Hunter Rise does of course make several other changes to the other Monster Hunter games, but if you want to know more about that and my general opinion of it, then you can check out a video that I'm working on that I'll upload in the future, which is going to be a sort of mini review of the game. But yeah, this game is definitely highly recommended if you're looking for something new to play on your Switch. Like I say, I've already spent over 24 hours playing it, so I've got to think it's good. Now we come to the last game that I picked up in March, and this one actually released on the exact same day as Monster Hunter Rise, and because of that I've not played this game quite as much as I would have liked to. And it's It Takes Two for the PS4. What's really weird about this game is that I've not actually seen very many people talking about it, which is kind of a shame because from what I've played of it, it's actually really good. It's not very often that you get a game like this that's actually developed from the ground up to be played in co-op. And because of that, it does some really interesting things with how you interact with the other person that you're playing it with, and it ends up creating quite a unique experience. On a fundamental level, it's basically a 3D platformer where you and the person you're playing it with need to traverse through levels and solve basic puzzles together. Where this game becomes something a little bit more special than your average co-op 3D platformer though, is in the variety featured here. I've not been playing this game for too long at the moment, but every single bit I have played has offered some kind of new gimmick, and all of these gimmicks are used in such creative ways that could only be possible with it being designed as a co-op experience. So most of the time the way that this works is that one player is given an ability that another player doesn't have, but then you can use those abilities in tandem in order to progress through the game. So an example of this is early in the game where one player gains the ability to throw nails into wooden objects, and the other player has the ability to swing off of those nails. But then of course this results in one player being able to reach places that the other person can't, so then you have to interact with the environment to make it so both players can progress forward. This seems to be a concept that's going to be used throughout the entire game, but because the gimmick is different each time, it stays really fresh. But then to separate the platforming and the puzzle solving, you've also got these big set piece moments that make the game feel really epic. It's just really good, and if you're looking for a co-op game to get into, I highly recommend this one. It's published by EA as well, and I think it's probably the best game that they've published in years. Again, it's a little bit disappointing how you can't get a PS5 version of this game, because despite it upgrading to a digital PS5 version when you put the disc into a PS5, there just isn't a PS5 box for it, which is a little bit strange. But yeah, like I say, if this looks good to you, then I highly recommend that you check it out, because it is very good from what I've played, and I can't wait to dive back into it. And that sums up all of the games that I've added to my collection over the last 3 months. To be honest, I haven't been buying that many games recently because I've kind of been wanting to tackle my back catalogue. Like over on Twitch, I recently streamed Mario 64 and got all 120 stars, which is something that I've been meaning to do for literally years now. So yeah, I am looking forward to quite a few games that are coming out later in the year. One that springs to mind immediately is Resident Evil 8, which looks amazing from what I've seen of it. And of course, I'm also looking forward to the new Ratchet & Clank, and I'll definitely be picking that up when it comes out, and it'll probably be featured in a later video at some point as well. But anyway, definitely let me know down in the comments what games you've got recently, and if you've got any of the same ones as me, what you thought about them. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to see more stuff like this coming soon, and until next time, bye!